Okay, let's talk about something you've probably heard a million times. Why do people who speak more than one language mix them together, sometimes in the very same sentence? It might seem random, but I promise you the real reasons are way more complex and honestly more brilliant than you might think. You know the scene. You're talking to a friend and they just seamlessly drop a phrase from another language right into the middle of an English sentence. And you can't help but wonder, why'd they do that? Did they just forget the word? Well, let me tell you, the answer is almost always a big, loud no. See, mixing languages isn't a sign of confusion or, being lazy. It's actually a super sophisticated, often unconscious linguistic tool that bilingual speakers use with incredible precision. It is a genuine skill, and believe it or not, it follows a whole hidden set of social rules. The official term for this whole thing is code switching. It's the practice of moving back and forth between languages, and it serves this huge range of powerful social and even emotional functions. So let's break down the three big reasons people do it. All right, first up, people code switch to connect with the person they're talking to. Think of it like this. Language is a way we manage our social relationships. It's how we build bridges, or sometimes how we create a little bit of distance. Let's look at this conversation. Sarah and John are just speaking English. But the second Mare, who is Maori, arrives, Sarah switches gears. She doesn't just say, hello, Mare. She says, Kia ora, Mare, ipiheakoi, which is, hello, Mare, how are you, in Maori. So what is going on here? That switch is a huge social signal. Sarah is using the Maori greeting to show solidarity with Mare, to kind of wave a flag that says, we share this heritage, and to make her feel totally included. It's this beautiful, subtle way of saying, hey, I see you, we're part of the same group. Now, what's really fascinating is that this works in the complete opposite direction too. A language switch can also be used to create formality or even a bit of distance when the situation calls for it. In this example, you've got Jan and Petter. They're neighbors in Norway, just having a friendly chat. But when Jan needs help with an official form, he totally switches from a casual dialect to the formal, standardized Norwegian, bokmål. He basically turns his neighbor into a temporary government official. So, here's the crucial part. The switch isn't really about the topic of the form itself. It's about changing their social roles on the fly. For that brief moment, they are no longer just neighbors chatting over the fence. One is a member of the public seeking help, and the other is an official providing it. The language change makes that shift crystal clear. And that brings us to the second big reason for code switching. Sometimes it's just about finding the absolute best way to talk about a specific subject. It's about having the right tool for the job. Okay, check this out. A speaker is telling a story about what an elder said. They're speaking English, but for the proverb itself, they switch to Maori, saying, we believe the origins of Maori Tonga are in the earth. So why do that? Why not just say it in English? It's simple, but it's brilliant. The switch functions just like a set of quotation marks. It's a way of signaling to the listener, hey, pay attention. These aren't my words. I am quoting someone else directly. It's this incredibly precise tool that gives the proverb an authenticity and respect that, a simple English translation might just wash away. And this brings us to our third and maybe the most powerful reason for code switching: to express raw, unfiltered emotion. When your feelings are just too big for one language. So get this. There's Polly, a young British Black woman who speaks standard English at school, but Jamaican Creole, or patois, with her family. A teacher patronizingly corrects her. She doesn't just get mad in English, no. She unleashes this absolute torrent of abuse in patois. This switch had nothing to do with information. It was purely emotional. The switch to patois, the language of her home, her family, her identity, carried a weight and intensity that standard English just couldn't touch. It was an act of defiance, a way of taking her power back in that moment. And this idea is perfectly illustrated in this one town in Austria. A grandfather sees his grandkids knock over firewood and speaks to them in Hungarian, the warm, cozy family language of their home. But when they ignore him, he switches to one sharp, commanding phrase in German, komm her, come here. You have to understand, in that community, Hungarian is the language of closeness, of solidarity. German is the language of school, of official business, of authority. By switching to German, the grandfather isn't just telling them to come here. He's showing he is seriously not happy, and he's creating this sudden emotional distance. That single switch says way more than a whole lecture ever could. So when you put it all together, it's pretty clear. Code switching is an incredibly sophisticated social skill, and it's really important to distinguish it from something much, much simpler. People get this confused all the time, but code switching is not the same as lexical borrowing. Borrowing is just when a language adopts a single word, like how English speakers might use the Māori word mana for prestige. Code switching, like we've seen, is a fluent, in-the-moment strategy. You're using whole phrases or sentences. You're not just filling a vocabulary gap, you're making a social or emotional point. So the next time you hear someone code switch, I hope you don't see it as a mistake or a sign of confusion. Recognize it for what it truly is, a rich, creative, and totally rule-governed tool. It's the mark of a skilled bilingual speaker who is expertly navigating the complex social and emotional currents of a conversation. It's kind of like a superpower. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Even for those of us who only speak one language, we do this all the time. We're constantly switching our style, from formal to casual, from using slang with our friends to professional jargon at work. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what do your own language choices say about you and all the different worlds you move through every day?